Hi, I'm Jim McCann, founder of 1-800-Flowers. We created this podcast to share the wonderful people we get to interact with, we get to meet, we get to know, and most importantly, get to learn from. So I invite you to join us on this journey here on the Celebrations Chatter podcast. So, Paul, we're introduced by producer Katie Forte, and it's you work in a really interesting world. And, when I hear of IMG, which you run for Endeavor, as well as On Location, I think back when I was a kid, a small kid. Arnold Palmer was the rage in the golf world, and the golf world was a fraction of what it is today. And I remember reading about this partner, his name, Mark McCormick, who I think at that time was from Cleveland. And of course, Arnold Palmer was from central Pennsylvania. And I just thought it was really interesting that they took that brand in that little-known sport industry of golf, and they created something marvelous from it. And there's very few times in business where someone creates something where there wasn't something before. It was a whole new way of thinking, acting, and building business together. And IMG, of course, is that the company that came out of those activities. And I wonder how you, as you run the company today, and it's become so much more than that probably Mark could even have envisioned. What do you think of the state of the world today, and how IMG has survived as a real catalyst for change in an industry that didn't exist much before Mark decided it should?
Wow, you covered a lot of unbelievable history in a very short period of time, and I appreciate that a lot. And you're clearly a golfer, and so your knowledge of the sport and the history there is just phenomenal. And you're right. I mean, first of all, I just want to clarify, I have the privilege of being in my role over IMG events and On Location. And while an IMG is a very large entity, it's a very strong brand within the world of Endeavor. I'm privileged to run a piece of it, which is the events side of the business, which is really focused on sports, entertainment, arts, culture, and I can go over a little bit about what that portfolio is. But we own and operate key events around the world under the IMG umbrella in that regard, golf being one of them. And we do a lot in golf globally. We've been involved in golf from the core. And you're right, the history of IMG was centered in what Mark McCormick's vision was way back then, in order to create that kind of company, and in order to super serve one of his passions, is the way I understood it. Now, I never spent time or worked with Mark. I joined the company when in the last 4 years, but I do know the history pretty well, being in the industry, watching it, and seeing it grow. And the way we think about the value of any company like IMG or On Location, or even more broadly Endeavor, which I'm privileged to be a part of, it's our passion for the work we do and the businesses that we serve, and sports is one of them. We clearly are in every aspect of entertainment and every aspect of what people want to go do or see and participate in. And passions come in all shapes and sizes. But as an avid golfer like yourself, golf is a very big part of that.
It's funny that you talk about sports and entertainment, and it's sort of in the same breath, but that's not always been the case. The sports was very different than entertainment, and people didn't think about marketing sports and about blending events and sports and entertainment all together. That's still relatively new, isn't it?
It's new. It depends on what the perspective is, right? Because
it seems people are going to go to this event. Geez, we have to fill up their time with other activities if they're going to travel from all over the country to come to this unbelievable event. And the unbelievable event became more unbelievable because of the event professionals who said, oh, we can create this experience and we'll do that. And it seems that's where it really started to congeal.
Yeah. Look, my mom tells me stories all the time about her dad was a New York City police officer. And one of the favorite stories I love her talking about is how she lived across from Ebbets Field in Brooklyn and would go with him to the Dodgers games regularly. and just what an incredible day and afternoon that was, as a form of spending time with her father, and then also in how she got entertained. And then on the flip side of it, how I know my youngest is a professional musician, and how he works and how people, the delight they have when they go see him and his band perform. And in a lot of ways, there's a similarity to that. Now, I'm going to take you back a second, and as you outlined, my history is I spent a lot of time in the media world, and in a big chunk of that was in magazines. And the way we thought about magazines is we had magazines that in the company that I was in that were in every category of business. There was sports, there was entertainment, there was business, there was food, there was parenting, there was everything. And the way we always said was, there was only a limited amount of world events that were happening at any time, like the Olympics. And every one of our brands had a view of what was happening at the Olympics. What were they eating there? What were they watching? Who was winning? What celebrities were there? Whatever. Every brand had a different view. And that's because entertainment comes with a lens of what you want to see and do and participate in. I will tell you that no one is one-dimensional. Everyone is multidimensional. On the On Location side, I talked about IMG events, but On Location is the partner to major rights holders around the world. Some of them are IMG brands. Some of them are not. And we work with rights holders to help connect their consumers to their biggest events with great seats, of course, but hospitality, and more importantly, incredible immersive experiences, which really helps people get closer to the event. Now, what we're seeing are people that do that with us in sports because they love sports, but they also go to some of the music festivals with us. Some of them go to Barrett Jackson, a business that we also co-own with the founder, and because they collect cars, or go to Freeze Art Fair, which IMG runs and owns because they love art and art collecting. So entertainment comes in every bucket. It's basically, in my mind, it's what do you do when you don't work? That's entertainment. You go watch a game on television or in person. If you eat great food or have beautiful wine with friends. If you travel, if you collect, or you see music, whatever it is, that's entertainment. And that's very much the way we think about it at IMG on the ownership and operated side of events, and then On Location on the premium experience side of it.
It seems like from your publishing background, you spent a lot of time at Time Inc. And it seemed that Southern Living was the title in that portfolio that was the most forward in thinking about a relationship with an audience that was more integrated and beyond print.
Southern Living did a beautiful job of creating multiple dimensions, inclusive of product lines and travel experiences, and working with a lot of, they became very integrated and ingrained in the markets that they best served. It was a great example, but we had many of them. Sunset was another one, which had an incredible immersive experiences on the West Coast. But then broadly, when you look at the bigger properties that we worked on, and I had the privilege of being associated with the People brands, In Style, Entertainment Weekly for a very long time, and each one of those immersed into their worlds as well. Like we, on the Entertainment Weekly or the People side, we got deeply involved in the award shows, the philanthropy of what celebrities were doing, releases and great movies and music. It was very much integrated and ingrained into those worlds, from not just an editorial standpoint, but from a consumer immersion standpoint. And we spent a lot of time I had great partners working there, and in Martha Nelson, our editor in chief, and David Geithner, our head of finance and business partner, and we worked really hard together to not just report, and which is what Martha was responsible for, but to truly integrate and immerse. And that happened across all the properties. So Southern Living is a great example of what they did in markets, but it was literally the philosophy of Time Inc. at the time.
When you think of how entertainment and licensed properties all have commingled. I think theme parks probably had a lot to do with that too. Disney, of course, for their own properties, and then in more recent times when you have different events like the Barbie event, the Barbie doll event. Of course, you just had the huge hit with a movie, but now how else is that? How else is that franchise brought to the consumers in all its different iterations?
Barbie is a wonderful example of the way IMG thinks about immersive experiences. And the way we thought about Barbie and the team that worked on it did such a phenomenal job is they knew the impending zeitgeist that was going to happen with Barbie, or at least they assumed it would, and it actually been an incredible success as a movie, but it's been an incredible product success through Mattel for a very long time. And what we did is we worked with our partners to create a multi-room immersive experience in Santa Monica where people can go and enjoy the world of Barbie and see the history of Barbie, of all the Barbie dream houses and all the Barbie dolls, to go into a Barbie camper, to get your photo taken in one of the boxes as if you are Barbie, similar to what you did in the movie theaters. You could dive into a pool that, like on the Barbie pool, and then you can ultimately design your own Barbie at the end. And it was, everything with fashion and beauty and hair. It's so good that we're going to bring it out to other markets. And when we bring it out to other markets, it's because Barbie is timeless. The movie is wonderful, but Barbie's timeless. Now, we're also doing other events, like we're doing a Harry Potter immersive experience where you're going to walk through a Harry Potter hidden forest. That's incredible. When we do Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park in London this winter, which we've done for the last number of years, that is an immersive experience as well. That's got people, you can go and explore different aspects and dive deeper into the world of the holidays. We are going to be doing and continue to do more skating rinks in multiple markets. We just did one last year in London. We're going to continue doing that in other places too.
What do you mean? Is that a themed event, a temporary event, or
temporary event where you can go ice skating in a really unique location? And these are, this is the way IMG thinks about their owned and operated events.
What kind of talent stable would you have at an IMG events, Paul, where you have the creatives and the engineers and the people who can dream these up, make it come together, and then produce them? So a great range of talents there. That's peculiar.
We have an amazing team, absolutely amazing team. Ranging from all aspects of experts within the space, from culinary, immersive experiences, music. The arts and entertainment side of IMG has done a tremendous job of developing and executing unique events. We're launching one in Houston in November called Honeyland, which is an incredible experience that we're partnering with Live Nation, which will be a celebration of culture in music and culinary. We're really excited about that. There's an incredible array of hundreds of experiences that we build. And on the sports side of it, we're really proud of some of the places that we technically own, like the Madrid Open is a great example of a tennis event. It's one of the more important events leading into as the season begins in March, and it's grown in popularity. It's incredible culinary as well as tennis experience. And it's one that we're really proud to have and to nurture. We're in great partnership in Miami on the Miami Open, another great, not only great partnership, but a tremendous experience that incorporates tennis and the celebration of tennis, but of course everything that Miami has to offer, as well as culinary, and all of that takes place, by the way, in partnership with the Miami Dolphins down in Hard Rock Stadium. It's a unique tennis experience because of that.
And do you own that event, or you just produce it?
We own it in partnership with the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And we work on developing out experiences in sports and entertainment and culture. I mentioned Freeze and Barrett Jackson as well, in order to really build from ground up unique experiences for people who love those, for whatever they want to go to. I will move over to the on-location side, which we work way more broadly on that very same topic. So like, for example, at Fashion Week, which by the way is run by WME, it's owned by Endeavor. It always has been historically a fantastic experience. On Location partners with our internal sisters and brothers over on the fashion side of it to develop immersive experiences for people who want to experience Fashion Week in the most extraordinary way.
So give us, that's an example. Fashion Week's been around for a long time. It was a little thing, just to get a little spark into people's curiosity and interest. It was a PR event of sorts. And now to make it immersive, what would be an immersive experience around Fashion Week that would draw the general public in to say, yeah, I want to experience that?
Well, Fashion Week isn't always open, or never really was open to the general public. I mean, a lot of it has been for the industry. And I had gone to Fashion Week for many years on the industry side of it.
I can see how you dressed. I could tell.
You're very kind. With Fashion Week, when you think about, like, as an editor, what would you experience if you went to Fashion Week? Well, you'd have a great seat, maybe even in the front row. You'd get special access and walk through. You wouldn't wait on lines. You'd have a green room. Maybe you got dressed for it, going to a couture to see a couture portfolio in order to pick out what you want to wear and go get dressed. You'd get restaurant reservations. You'd have transportation. Maybe you take your photo. You'd get merchandising and memorabilia, having your photo taken with, and meet and greets with designers and models. And so I can go on and on and on. That's the notion of On Location, is we think about, if you were the most inside person, what would your experience be like? Like if I went to Fashion Week with a fashion editor, what would that experience be for me? That's what we try to design and bring to market for our guests.
That's so clever. Boy, I know a sport that could use more of your magic. Baseball.
So we do partner with Major League Baseball. They're a fantastic partner of ours on the On Location side.
Oh, give us an idea what you're doing with MLB.
Our guests got to experience All-Star Weekend like an insider. Aside from amazing seats and hospitality, which is sort of customary at these days, but they got to have special tours and immersive experiences. They got to meet legendary players. They got tremendous products and access to memorabilia. They were at Home Run Derby. They were at the game itself.
And hotel and dining experiences.
Special parties. They were like as if they were an invited guest from Major League Baseball. And
so clever.
And our partners on the leagues, teams, associations, conferences, all the different aspects of divisions of sports are so integral into how we do this. And we have great partnerships, like a partnership with the NFL, which has been a longstanding relationship with us. We do the Super Bowl, the draft, we do the Hall of Fame, Pro Bowl, and so many other aspects of the NFL. But the NFL is a great partner in helping us think through and give unique products and access to things that really make the fan experience incredible. And having a great partner like the NFL, or as I described, Major League Baseball, or the Olympics, which we're doing next summer in Paris, that really makes a difference. I mean, look, Jim, there's a million ways to go get a ticket. All a ticket is a permission to sit in the seat. An experience is something completely different. An experience is something that you want to tell people about. And some of it is the experience of what you saw, but a lot of times it's the experience of what you did and how you felt. And that's what On Location does so uniquely. So for like the Olympics, many people have gone to Olympics, and even more people have never gone to an Olympic. But this is the first time that the Olympics has ever been opened up on a global basis to have a true hospitality and experience model. And we are the global hospitality partner to the Olympics. And the kind of experiences that our guests are going to have go way beyond a ticket, or way beyond a hotel room.
And who are your customers, Paul? Is it individuals, or is it mostly corporate? I'm a wealth manager and RIA. I have a dozen of my top clients I'd like to bring and put on experience. Who is your customer?
So we have a wide range of customers. Our customers for IMG are people who just love what they're going to say, whether it's Barbie, the Miami Open, golf event,
Harry Potter experience.
Harry Potter, whatever it is. They just love it. They want to go, right? On location comes in, and that customer is somebody who wants more than just to go. Now, it could be an individual who thinks of it as a bucket list. We have many people who come to the Final Four, which we do all the NCAA championships, all of them. Wrestling, basketball, softball, baseball, you name it, we do them all. And our partners at the NCAA knows there's enthusiasts who just want to go to every NCAA Final Four. Those are people who, or just want to go to one. Those are bucket lists. Those are people.
And how do they come? Do they come to on location site? Do they go to the NCAA site? How do you reach your public?
All the above. So they come to us on our site. We have a direct sales team that works with more custom programs. Our partners site often participate as well. And it's promoted everywhere. Most of the time, if you search for NCAA Final Four tickets, our sites usually come up. Now, sometimes we're branded on location. Sometimes we're branded with the actual rights holder. So UFC, it's UFC VIP. And a UFC experience is a true VIP experience, and it's bought through UFC VIP, provided by On Location, of course. But so it's not about On Location. It's really about our partner and giving that customer the partner experience. So back to who's the customer? It's individuals, people on bucket list, people who are fans of who's playing or singing or or participating. It's also businesses who want to entertain customers. Whether on a small level, maybe 2 tickets, all the way up to a macro level with hundreds of tickets with a much larger.
So those corporate customers, Paul, I assume, are both in venue or associated with venue advertisers, as well as people who aren't advertisers but still want to entertain their closest clients in a bucket list kind of experience.
Sure. We have companies that we do all of their customer entertainment experiences for them. So any customers, sales incentive trips, customer staff recognition, things like that, retirement parties, 50th birthday parties, you name it. We'll do. The motive of why they come to us is varied, but what they're coming to us for is very similar. They want to have the best experience at the most incredible events.
So tell me about Barrett-Jackson. I think that's so clever that you took a car show and made it. Each time it becomes a bigger and more entertaining event. What kind of a VIP package would I be able to think about with the car enthusiast in my life who I want to have that bucket list kind of experience?
So Barrett-Jackson, for those who don't know, is where car collectors come to find vehicles. It's where car sellers, people who have cars of value, whether historical, unique, or even like emotional significance, come to sell them. Some of the cars are very old. Some of them are resto mods, which are older cars that are rebuilt for modern standards. So some of them are celebrity-owned cars that are just so unique because they were owned by someone special. I mean, there's a wide range. And so there's the cars that come to be sold. There are people who come to buy it. And then there are the people who come to watch it all. And there's a whole range of all three. And Craig Jackson, who he and his family are part of the founding group, and Carolyn, his wife, are deeply involved in the team, has done a great job building 4 unique auctions a year that are each one of them have a unique character. We're doing one next weekend in New Orleans, and then come February, we're going to be back in Scottsdale for our biggest, our big auction, which is a multi-day auction.
So how many shows are there under the Barrett-Jackson brand a year?
There are 4 big ones a year. You can buy a ticket and just watch. You just walk in. In Scottsdale, we'll have tens to hundreds of thousands of people do that. Bidders, you can come and just register to bid, and you can just stand there and do that. Then there's experiences. You can have unique access in what we call the staging lanes, where you can watch the cars from a very unique vantage point come in to go to the auction block. You can have a special viewing area that has incredible elevated hospitality, direct access viewing, but also special auctioneers who sit in those sections with you to help you through your bidding process, so that you build a relationship with them.
Sure.
There's going to be, concerts that we do, culinary experiences that you do. And there's also there's an opportunity to be in Craig's box, Craig Jackson, where you can be in that area. And each one of these, of course, have different price points attached to it, but with it comes very different immersive experiences. Look, you could always go to the Barrett Jackson auction and have an incredible time.
Yeah.
To sit in one of these luxury boxes and to see that auction experience from where be in the staging lane, that it's an elevated experience that people write home about.
We put our heart into everything we do. We are farmers, bakers, florists, and makers who grow and create with a passion. Made with love at every step of the way. Because at the end of the day, we know you're sending more than a gift. 1-800-Flowers, share with love.
Let's go backwards. Where did you grow up, Paul?
I grew up in northern New Jersey in a town called Cliff Lake.
Oh, sure. But how did you wind up going to Indiana?
It's a good question. So it's a podcast into itself. So my whole life, my dad's a dentist. My mom was a hygienist. My grandfather, who unfortunately passed before I was born, but he was a dentist. So I kind of grew up in the world of dentistry. And
sure.
So the way I grew up is I just always tracked myself that I would become a dentist. So I did my whole education, primary education was really that was my ultimate outcome. And coming out of high school, that was my path. So I got into a program right out of high school that combined undergrad and grad into a dental program. And it was my intended path. After a year of it, which was nearby in New Jersey, it was a school called Fairleigh Dickinson that had a really good dental school. It also had an undergrad program, but it had a good dental school in the local area. And so after a year of the undergrad piece of it, I got my eyes open to a wider range. And now leading up to it.
Wow, there's other options here.
There's other options, but leading up to it, I was an entrepreneur too. I had a business from when I was 10 years old on. I was a magician, and then I did birthday parties and things like that. And so I built a nice little business doing that. I just loved business. So I kept doing that. And I thought, you know what? I got to combine dentistry and business, which I had ideas to do.
Well, you could make cavities disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Or I needed to do something different. So after a year of it, I felt like I needed to do something different. So what I really loved was business, of course, but I love entertainment. I'm a musician. I love sports. So I
still dabble in magic.
I haven't done it in a long time, but I do still have a couple of tricks in my basement that for my kids and potential grandkids at some point. And also the influence of my father. My father was a magician growing up as well. And I started off using his tricks, which was my first tricks that I did. So after the year of undergrad, I decided I needed to switch out of dentistry, but I knew that being at Fairleigh Dickinson wasn't the right place for me. I needed to go somewhere else. So I ended up coming home and talking to my parents about it. And they said, okay, we totally think you should do that, but you can't just sit home. It's the end of June. You have to go back to school in September, pick a place and go. So I didn't know where to go. So I happened to be watching HBO and Breaking Away came on. And
oh, sure.
Oh my God, what a great place. I love college basketball. Bobby Knight is there. That's where I want to go. So I called up, found out how to apply, sent my application in, got accepted a week or two later. And then 2 weeks after that, packed up my car and drove out to Bloomington. Never been there before. Never even saw it before.
Wonderful place, right?
It was fantastic. So that's how I ended up there, is a combination of breaking away and not wanting to be a dentist.
So tell me your career path now after Indiana.
So I worked in an ad agency called J. Walter Thompson out of college.
Sure. A storied agency.
It was fantastic. And then I left there to sell advertising for USA Today. And then from there, I took one quick step over to a magazine called Psychology Today, and then over to People magazine. And I joined People very young. I was 25 years old, so it's just a couple of years out of school. But I joined as a sales rep there, and that's really where I spent the bulk of my career. I was there for almost 24 years.
You remember Liz O'Neill, an editor?
Of course.
She's terrific. Haven't seen her in a bit, but she did a piece, one of the first podcasts. She did a piece on investigation of the Chappaquiddick incident with Ted Kennedy, Mary Jo Kopechne. And I remember 5 or 6 years ago when that came out on my Saturday morning jogs, listening to that and deciding to double and go for another 3 miles because her podcast was so good I didn't want to stop listening. And she's a nice lady. I've gotten to know her a little bit locally. We've had her at the bowl games. She and her son, just a wonderful lady, and she's been there a long time.
You've been there a long time. You're very fit, and so you owe your fitness to her, I guess.
Absolutely, or at least a bad knee.
Fair enough.
So timing for a long time, huh?
So I worked at Timing for a long time, had many jobs and really great opportunities. And all of what I learned a lot of things there, certainly about brands, about leadership, about entrepreneurism, about business in general, partnerships, relationships, and made some of my best friends there as well, and business associates. I left there to be a CEO of a radio company, originally called Dial Global, that we renamed to Westwood One. So a lot of people know Westwood One. And then I was fortunate enough to work with Cumulus to purchase Westwood One. And after they purchased it, I then joined Bloomberg as the Global Chief Revenue Officer on the media side. And then I left Bloomberg to basically focus on my family and my entrepreneurism by investing and spying into small businesses, which I really enjoyed, until I really missed being part of a team and being back in the game, as they say. And that's when I came to join Endeavor.
And how does that come about that you joined Endeavor? A headhunter seek you out? You put out the word in your community of friends saying, I'm looking to do something different?
No, not at all. Actually, one of the main reasons I left Bloomberg was because my wife said to me, I have 3 kids. And my boys were just finishing up high school. And she said, you're missing everything. You're traveling all over the world. You're missing everything. And I need you to stop working so that you can focus on your family, focus on yourself, focus on what really matters. And also, she always said, you always wanted to do this on your own. Just go do it. So she encouraged that. And it became something that I really got excited about. And I did. And then when the boys went off to college and I was, was just doing my independent thing, she noticed that I was bored in a way, even though it was exciting and I was doing a lot of great things. She said, you kind of miss it, don't you? You miss being in the middle of it all. And I said, I do. She said, so why don't you go get another job then? And I said, well, I actually don't want another job. And she said, well, why? And I said, because I like this. I said, but what I really want to do is to work for someplace special. And I want to work for someone incredibly special. And she said, well, who? And I said, there's literally only one person I'll go work for, and that's Mark Shapiro. And it's someone who I knew for a while before that, and I knew Ari very well before that. And I had talked to them about other things over the years, but I just knew I wanted to work with Mark. And frankly, I didn't even care what I was going to do. So I called him up under my wife's encouragement, and he saw me, of course, because we had known each other for so long time. And I just said very simply, Mark, I don't know if you have anything. I don't even know if you want anything. I would do it for anything you want, for whatever you want. I just want to be in that environment, in this company, and with you, because this is a winning company, and you are an incredible leader. He's literally the best. And
how clever.
And so he said, look, we're looking at getting into the event business with On Location. Would you take a look at it with us and be part of that? And so I worked with the diligence team, and the diligence team here on the M&A team at Endeavor is extraordinary.
And busy.
and busy. And in working with them, when Endeavor ultimately did buy On Location, they asked me if I would run it, and of course I wouldn't say no, because you when in life you get to work for someone extraordinary like Art and Mark in a company like Endeavor, on brand like On Location, and do the things we get to do. It's been a privilege. And IMG came across last year, a year ago, is when they asked if I would bring that into the portfolio. And of course, it was run by an incredible executive in Sam Zussman, who now runs over down in Barclays in the Brooklyn Nets. He did an incredible job at IMG events, and it just was it was a good opportunity for the company. But I was more than privileged to do that.
I'd like to explore a little bit Endeavor and the incredible company it's become. But before we go there, I hate to toss a little lob up at the net to a Jimmy Connors type, but what's in it for advertisers? My impression is that event sponsorship, either you have to be able to, you can't just buy the sponsorship. You have to consider the investment as part of a package, including what they call the merchandising of it. And how does, and it seems like it's only for big companies who have the resources to bring their clients into the entertainment part of it, merchandise it against the consumer base effectively. Is that the right way to think about it? Or are there cases where companies have built their brand by doing events? I think a 5 Hour Energy as maybe a company that came from the event world. Its brand was launched by doing events. But tell me how I should think about that as a small business person looking to say, what's a creative way for me to extend my brand and connect with my consumers in a different way?
We should examine it in two parts. When you think about media, you think about media as it relates to how do we communicate and tell stories, and why do we communicate and tell stories? And the core of media is really simple. It's designed to inspire, educate, or inform, I should say, or entertain. So those are the three, and these are well-known things. This is what we learn in school all the time. The three aspects of what media is. And the platform of that communication could be on anything. In the olden days, it was divided by actual media platforms. Now, it's mostly influenced by digital and social and so many different aspects. But the way we communicate goes in either video, text, or audio. And those ways, way to go. So that's how you tell stories. And that story can be long form or short form. And this podcast is an audio story, also a video story, the way we're doing it today. And we're informing and maybe entertaining, hopefully inspiring. Maybe we're doing all three, but there's a purpose to that. When you're a marketer, you have to think about how do you communicate your story to better tell your message to inspire the outcome that you desire. And Jim, this is one of the things that you are absolutely a genius at. I mean, what you did in the way you built your company through audio is one of your primary tools. And you did a brilliant job of using your voice and your brand to tell your story to differentiate your product, which could have been considered a commodity, but it ended up being a differentiated story because you used a medium to tell your story well. And it communicated well to get people to buy more of your products. That is what anyone does on a small scale to the most extraordinary scale. The other parts that have become really important is how do you create the value of story? What we're realizing now is we always thought of what we call influencers, and influencers were everybody had an influencer in their life. It's the person who is in your life that helped you to be inspired to do whatever you did, right?
Who's the person in the new neighborhood you call and say, hey, I need a pediatrician?
You got it. That's an influencer. Now, influencers are way bigger than that, right? Social media has created macro, influencers, mega influencers.
They give them a megaphone, right?
And they give them a megaphone and they get paid a lot to it. So they became an advertising medium. So it became more than just reach an influencer to influence a group. It's now reach an influencer, pay them to become your platform. And so that's changed a lot. So as a large business, you have to look at all the tools, and sponsorship comes into there as well. Big names like MetLife Stadium, big name on a logo means something. A patch means something because it's the reminder, it's the recall. It's people need to be told what they want because otherwise they don't know they want it. And from a small business perspective, you can do that too. You just have to make different choices because your budgets are smaller. You have to be more assured of success, but the fundamentals are very similar. So thinking about how to tell your story to the people that you can grab most. So if you're a local retailer, how do you get people in that local market? Well, digital's got a great platform for that. We have social media. We've got outdoor advertising. We have specials, email campaigns, great ways to read contact. And we just have to be smarter about it. And that's where the role of agencies play. Now, 160over90, which is a branded agency in Endeavor, does a great job of that for their customers. They help customers tell stories in every aspect. And that storytelling could be also in live event. And that's where we get involved with all of our partners, internally and externally, to help them tell their stories in live events too, whether it's through sponsorships or integration. Barbie was full of that. Honeyland has many of those. And it's a way to do that. The other way to tell the story is to entertain them, to tell them the story directly, or inspire them by having them be your guest as an incentive for being a great customer. That's where experiences come in. So it's a multi-dimensional approach.
As you look back at the company, what might it become next?
I have no idea what's going to come next, but I can assure you, because of the genius of Ari, it's going to be incredibly exciting. You know, Ari is I've known Ari for a long time because when I was at People, Ari was an important partner to us because of the world and celebrity that we all lived. And every interaction I ever had with Ari, I walked away even more inspired than I was before, because he sees the world so differently than anybody else. He's a true visionary. He truly knows how to develop and create. He's a relationship person. He knows how to lead a team. He's really one of the most impactful people in the world of business, not just in entertainment and sports.
That's a whole family of underachievers, huh? Three brothers.
That family is incredible on every level, and every one of them. There's a common trait amongst all of them, but they do it, express it in three different ways or multiple different ways. And then the combination of Ari and Mark is beyond extraordinary. So when you're in a company, and the depth of talent goes very wide and deep in this company. So it's not limited to any one area or any couple of people. It's the people I get to work with in every aspect of this company is a true leader and a true visionary for what their expertise, and everybody plays a role in the opportunity ahead. So I don't know where the company is ultimately going to go. It's not my role here, but I can assure you that I'm extremely proud and excited to be here.
So tell me about IMG events and On Location. What's next? More properties? Is owning properties something that's on your agenda to continue to develop new ones? Is it all of the above? Work with properties that exist, work with licensed partners?
Well, we're certainly not a static organization. We're going to constantly evolve and move, and we're launching new products all the time. I would say right now, of course, we're looking as far out as we possibly can, but at the same time, we're looking very close because we have a lot of events coming up that we want to bring to market and are bringing to market, but also we learn from each of them. I'd say one of the biggest learning experiences we'll have is the Olympics next summer in Paris.
It's got to be an extraordinary challenge and an enormous opportunity for you to really have people rethink how they might enjoy, experience, and consume the Olympics.
100%. And for anybody who comes with us as a guest is going to see the Olympics like it's never been seen before. But this is also the first live fan Olympic for the Summer Games in over 8 years. And so for a generation who never really got to go to the Olympics, certainly not one in a beautiful city like Paris at this time, this is going to be a real moment. So I would tell you that tickets are going to be really hard to come by. Hotel rooms are going to be really hard to come by. So planning that trip and being part of it sooner than later is my best advice. But we're going to learn a lot about where the future of experiences are going to go by watching and seeing the wide range of global participants who are coming with us to those games. And it's going to give us an opportunity to see what kind of other global expansion we could do, what other ideas we can do, and also more importantly, what we could bring to our existing partnerships. I mean, our existing partners are ones that we feel very deeply passionate about, and we look for every which way to nurture and grow and differentiate them. So every time we do anything, we think about how do we better serve them. So our network and partnership is benefits with all of of all the aspects of what we do.
You mentioned that you have 3 children, Paul. Would you encourage them to go into your world?
So my children are in their 20s.
You mentioned one was a musician.
So my youngest one is a musician. He's a working musician. This is he breathes music. He's always has his whole life. It's the air he breathes. It's the delight he has. He teaches and he performs. He writes. He produces. He's living his life. He's 24 years old and he's doing great. My middle one is 26. He's a chemical engineer and he works in pharmaceuticals, making vitamins and for a major company. And then my oldest is 29 and she is just graduated with her MBA and she just joined a consulting company and in marketing consulting. So in many ways, the 3 of them are different components of my wife and I, but the one thing I love about them is they are living their own dreams. Each one of them is pursuing something completely different. I do not have one child who's following in any direction that either my wife nor I did.
And it seems to me that you have to have so many different skills in your role and awareness of so many different parts. It's the ultimate orchestration company out there. There's so many things you have to think about and be able to access people, deploy people. And I would think that someone who grows up on the implementation side of your world are kind of people that other employers are going to want to hire because they just know how to get things done.
The vast group of people who work here have a unique opportunity because, one, they get to see the most incredible things and be part of it. Whether they love art and are part of Freeze, or they love sports and can go to the Super Bowl, whatever it is, they get a front row seat to the most extraordinary moments. And when you go to any of these events, which I get to go to many of them, it's really wonderful to see the people who work there. What I also see is the growth at each and every one of those colleagues that I have in every facet of this business, the growth that they get. I benefited from the early parts of my career. I certainly benefit from the middle parts of my career, and I benefit from my career every single day. I feel I never stop learning. I continue to grow, and everything that I am and do is because of what I've done. And so getting the opportunity that every one of my colleagues do to do what they do in the company that they do it in is not only something that they could do in this company forever. Certainly we don't want to lose anybody, but if for those that go on, they go on and do really extraordinary things.
Well, Paul, you've given us some really interesting insights into you and your career, which is quite amazing, and into the very interesting industry that we're in now. And we can only anticipate the kinds of things you'll be involved in the future. And we'll be checking in to see all the new events and new opportunities to think about participation in a sporting event with a culinary experience, a wonderful trip on the side, exposure to some good music in town while you're there. It just it seems to be no end to the possibilities. And congratulations on what you've done, what you're doing, and more importantly, what we expect you'll be doing in the future. So thanks for sharing those insights with us. I have so many more things I'd like to talk to you about. We could use your help in our marketing world here to figure out how do we do things different to build more relationships with more people and help them to have more relationships and better relationships in their life. Because if we do that, our selfish motivations are there are going to be more birthdays, more anniversaries that they'll want to remember. So we're in the relationship business too, but you're the provider of the venue and the opportunity to really nurture and develop relationships. So I think at the end of the day, we're in very similar businesses.
We really are, and I really appreciate that very much. And Jim, I want to see you in one of our one of our events or our experiences. I think you'd really enjoy it.
Well, Paris, it sounds like there could be some good food involved, and I'm not missing that.
And golf, great golf.
That's sure. Paul, thanks so much.
Thank you too, Jim. It was good to see you.
It's my sister's birthday.
Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
They have tons of great birthday gifts.
Wow.
Wow. Happy birthday, baby.
Wow.
Yummy. I got to contain myself.
1-800-Flowers.
Celebrate the people you love.
Well, I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and I know I'll be sharing it forward. I hope you get to as well.
let's keep the conversation going. Follow me along on Twitter at Jim1800Flowers and on LinkedIn at Jim McCann. Hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Celebrations Chatter. You can join our community by reaching out at chatter@celebrations.com. And while you're at it, tell us what topics you'd like us to explore here on the Celebrations Chatter podcast. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to share it forward.